So imagine you are in just agonizing pain from a fractured arm, like something in your body is fundamentally broken.
Right. You're in real trouble.
Exactly. You can't use the limb, the ache is keeping you up at night, and you just know you need serious help. But instead of going to an orthopedic surgeon to get an x-ray and, have the bone set, you book a weekend at a luxury day spa.
Well, you'd get a very plush robe out of it, maybe some of that complimentary cucumber water,
Hmm.
but you certainly wouldn't get a cure.
Right. You get the robe, you get the ambient rainforest music, maybe even a gentle hot stone massage. And for the weekend, as long as you hold perfectly still, you feel incredibly
Yeah,
relaxed.
dear.
But then the second you try to lift your suitcase to check out and go home, that searing, blinding pain is right back. Because a massage, no matter how wonderful it is, it cannot set a broken bone.
No, it's a complete misapplication of the tool. You are treating a structural failure with a surface level remedy.
And honestly, that leads to just incredible frustration, which is really the core of what we are unpacking today. Because when it comes to relationships, so many couples make this exact same mix up.
They really do, and it's so common.
They choose the completely wrong tool for the actual state their relationship is in, and then they cannot figure out why they end up feeling so defeated.
It's a critical misunderstanding, and, well, the stakes are incredibly high here. Couples will pour time, money, and whatever fragile hope they have left into a solution that was just never designed for their specific problem.
Yeah, which brings us to the mission for this deep dive today. We are going to explore the profound difference between a marriage retreat and a marriage intensive. We want you to understand exactly why some couples leave a weekend getaway merely inspired for a few days, while other couples leave fundamentally changed.
It's such an important distinction to make.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even start?
Well, we really need to start by establishing one crucial baseline here. Neither of these options is inherently bad or, like, inferior to the other.
Right, it's not a competition.
Exactly. But they serve vastly different psychological purposes. Fundamentally, you can look at the dynamic like this. One environment is designed as an escape, and the other is deliberately designed as a confrontation.
Wow. Escape versus confrontation. That is a stark dichotomy.
It is, yeah.
So to really understand why couples feel so let down by a weekend getaway, I guess we shouldn't just list what happens at a standard retreat. We really need to look at the psychology of who it's actually built for.
Right. A standard marriage retreat is explicitly engineered for three things: reconnection, relaxation, and recharging.
Okay.
These are broad communal events. You're usually with larger groups of people participating in shared activities. Maybe there's group worship, dedicated date nights, and you're listening to broad teaching on topics like communication or navigating the parenting years.
So, treating you as a smart listener, you probably already know what this looks like. It's basically a cruise on land.
Pretty much, yeah.
But the psychological mechanism here is what fascinates me. It acts as a sort of pause button on modern life.
Yes, the pause button is huge. If we connect this to the bigger picture, modern spouses often slip into a dynamic where they stop being romantic partners and start acting like co-managers of a highly stressful logistics company.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's all, did you pay the electric bill? Or whose turn is it to pick up the kids from soccer?
The dog needs to go to the vet.
Right. It's just an endless conveyor belt of tasks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you are constantly managing logistics, your brain is operating with a low, persistent level of stress. You're in a mild fight or flight state just trying to keep the household running.
Which sounds exhausting.
It is. So when a healthy or even a moderately stressed couple goes on a retreat, that environment forcibly lowers their cortisol levels. The relaxed environment alone bridges the gap.
Because they aren't staring at a pile of laundry.
Precisely. By simply taking away the mortgage and the laundry and putting them in a fun environment, they remember how to laugh. That simple biological change of pace can reignite a dormant spark.
So, a retreat is essentially a spa day for the relationship. It's fantastic for maintenance and stress relief, but you wouldn't go to a day spa to fix a broken bone.
No, you wouldn't.
But let me push back on this for a second. If you remove all that stress, the mortgage, the kids, the logistics, and you're left in a beautiful environment with your spouse, shouldn't that vacuum of stress be exactly what a deeply struggling couple needs to finally hash out their real issues? Like, why can't they just do the hard work while sitting on the beach?
That is a brilliant question, and it really gets to the heart of human nature. Humans will almost always take the path of least resistance.
Oh, definitely.
When a couple is deeply fractured, The silence of a beach doesn't magically give them the tools to fix a 10-year-old betrayal. Without a structured professional framework, their instinct is to keep avoiding the hard conversation so they don't, ruin the vacation.
Wow, so they just default to what feels safe in the moment.
Precisely. And this is the crucial limitation of the retreat. A retreat cannot fix deep-seated issues because it is not personalized,
All right.
and it does not force you to confront the ugly stuff.
Right.
If a couple is dealing with infidelity, hardened resentment, profound emotional disconnection, sexual trauma, or long-term bitterness, a weekend of fun group games and a nice ballroom dinner will not cure that.
You just can't expect a motivational speaker addressing 200 couples in an auditorium to somehow accidentally heal a trust fracture that happened in your specific marriage a decade ago.
It's psychologically impossible. And expecting that broad inspiration to do the heavy lifting of personalized therapy is what sets couples up for massive disappointment. They expect a structural fix from a surface-level tool.
Which means we have to pivot. When the pause button isn't enough, you have to stop escaping and start confronting. And that brings us to the intensive.
Yes. The intensive requires a completely different paradigm. If the retreat lowers your stress so you can relax, the intensive deliberately structures stress so you can heal.
The documentation on this describes an intensive as intentional, focused, structured, and emotionally demanding. That phrase, emotionally demanding, really stands out. It sounds incredibly exhausting.
It is grueling because you aren't hiding in a ballroom of 200 people anymore.
Right, you're on the spot.
Exactly. An intensive is highly intimate. You're usually in a room with maybe 5 to 10 couples, or frequently, it's an entirely one-on-one format. Just the couple and the professional facilitators.
So nowhere to hide.
Nowhere. You aren't playing games. You are engaging in guided psychological exercises, intensive conflict resolution, and trauma conversations.
So what does this all mean? Let me go back to my medical analogy for a second. If the retreat was the spa day, the intensive sounds like intense physical therapy.
It really is.
Like after a major joint surgery, it's going to hurt. The therapist is going to actively push your joint past where it wants to go, tearing through the scar tissue. It requires safety and vulnerability, but it's the only way to heal the joint. Is it fair to say it's inherently uncomfortable?
Oh, absolutely. It is designed to be uncomfortable. What's fascinating here is the psychology behind that discomfort. Radical honesty with someone you've been actively hiding from for years is profoundly unsettling. But here is the core, unavoidable truth. Avoidance is exactly what got these couples disconnected in the first place. So structured confrontation is the cure.
Wait, really? Avoidance is the root cause, not anger, not fighting.
In the vast majority of cases, yes. People don't generally wake up on a Tuesday and decide to destroy a 15-year marriage.
Right, that doesn't just happen out of nowhere.
It is a slow fade fueled by avoidance. You avoid a difficult conversation because you're too tired after work. Then you avoid bringing up a hurt feeling to keep the peace over the holidays. Then you avoid physical intimacy because you feel emotionally disconnected.
Wow, just piling it on.
Yes, over years, that avoidance builds a massive, impenetrable wall. So if chronic avoidance caused the disease, structured confrontation is the only possible cure.
Okay, but practically speaking, when you say trauma conversations or structured confrontation, how does a facilitator actually keep a couple from just screaming at each other like they do in their own kitchen? Like, what is the mechanism that makes an intensive safe enough to tear down that wall?
That's where the professional structure comes in.
Yeah.
At home, you have all your established patterns. One person raises their voice, the other shuts down and walks out of the room. The fight is over, nothing gets resolved, the avoidance continues.
All right, the classic cycle.
Exactly. In an intensive, the facilitator acts as a shock absorber and a pattern interrupter. When the husband tries to deflect, the facilitator gently forces him to stay on topic. When the wife tries to shut down, the facilitator guides her to articulate her fear. They don't let you rely on your old survival tactics.
And there's a stark comparison we uncovered that illustrates this beautifully. At a retreat, you might sit in the audience, listen to a powerful 20-minute sermon or an inspirational talk, have a good cry, and feel emotionally moved. But at an intensive, you might spend hours, literally 4, 5, 6 hours, unpacking exactly why you stopped trusting each other 8 years ago.
That is the dividing line. Peeling back 8 years of lost trust is not inspiring. It is surgical work.
Which makes the escape nature of a retreat actually counterproductive for a deeply struggling couple. If you are already avoiding each other emotionally, going on a fun vacation just gives you a really pretty backdrop to continue avoiding each other.
It does,
Okay.
which leads to perhaps the most insidious, widespread trap couples fall into today.
Here's where it gets really interesting. You can take the absolute cutest, perfect sunset photos for your timeline, but still not know how to actually communicate with each other at dinner.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is the stark difference between inspiration and transformation. It's a phenomenon where the human brain naturally, almost desperately, confuses a change of scenery with a change of heart.
This cognitive dissonance is so common. We look at a beautiful location like a pristine beach in Maui or a luxury cabin in the Alps, and we think the environment will somehow radiate healing into our bodies.
Because our brains associate aesthetic beauty and physical comfort with emotional safety. But scenery cannot repair broken trust.
We see this play out on social media constantly.
Oh, all that.
Imagine a couple whose marriage is hanging by a thread. They go to a luxury resort. They take those sunset photos. The lighting is golden. They are smiling, projecting this image of absolute marital bliss to the world.
Right.
But then they sit down at a romantic candlelit dinner and the silence is deafening. They literally do not know how to communicate with each other once the camera is put away.
Or, in other contexts, they might attend a retreat and worship publicly together, standing side by side in a crowded room, but entirely avoid eye contact in the privacy of their hotel room. They are confusing proximity with intimacy.
Wow, confusing proximity with intimacy. That is powerful. And the result of falling into this beautiful location trap is a very specific, agonizingly frustrating cycle. Couples go on these getaways, they hear some good talks, the weather is perfect, and they come home riding an emotional high. They feel inspired.
We call it the vacation glow.
Right. And for about 2 weeks, things are genuinely better. But after those 2 weeks, the glow fades. They crash. They fall right back into the exact same damaging patterns.
And screaming matches return?
Yeah, the cold shoulder returns. The deep, dark resentment flares right back up.
Because inspiration is an external feeling that lifts you up temporarily. It's an emotional spike. Transformation, on the other hand, is an internal rewiring that changes how you operate permanently.
It's like drinking a massive iced espresso to get a burst of energy when what you really need is to fix your chronic sleep deprivation. The espresso gives you a high, but the crash is inevitable because you didn't fix the underlying biological issue.
That's a perfect analogy. Inspiration is a sugar rush. Transformation is the deep cellular change in your metabolic health. And we need to emphasize very carefully that neither of these experiences is wrong.
Right. I want to make sure I'm not painting retreats as just useless fluff.
Not at all. Retreats are wonderful, necessary tools for prevention and for nurturing healthy marriages. If you are generally doing well or you're just feeling the heavy fatigue of modern life, you need that quality time. You need the spiritual encouragement, the laughter, the break from the
You
mundane.
need to hit pause.
Exactly. But intensives are for couples dealing with profound intimacy issues, couples dealing with emotional shutdown, constant unresolvable conflict, or active thoughts of separation. It is for couples who have hit a wall and know in the quiet moments of the night, we cannot keep going like this.
We cannot keep going like this. That is such a heavy, pivotal realization to come to. It's the moment of admitting that the spa day isn't going to fix the broken bone. It's terrifying, honestly, to face that reality.
It is terrifying. It is a completely different level of need, and it requires a completely different level of courage.
So, to summarize our mission for this deep dive today, a retreat is for maintenance, refreshment, and spiritual encouragement. It's escaping the daily grind to nurture a connection that is fundamentally intact. But an intensive is for profound issues, emotional distance, and intentional healing work.
And to you, the listener, if you find yourself relating more to that second category, if your relationship is currently hurting, if you feel stuck in a rigid cycle of avoidance and pain, I want to be unequivocally clear. There is absolutely no shame in admitting that your relationship needs deeper attention.
None whatsoever. We all need the surgeon sometimes.
In fact, looking at the harsh reality of your situation, stripping away the illusion of the beautiful sunset photo and saying, we need an intensive, we need to confront this, is perhaps the bravest, most loving thing you can do. Our research for this analysis leaves us with one incredibly powerful quote. Love is powerful, but healed love is transformational.
Healed love is transformational. I absolutely love that. It captures the entire essence of why someone would willingly subject themselves to the grueling work of an intensive. Because the other side of that pain is actual transformation.
It is. But this raises an important question, and it's something I want to leave you with to mull over. We've established that avoidance is the root of the decay. and that a lot of couples wait way too long before getting serious help. They keep choosing the comfort of a retreat over the confrontation of an intensive until everything shatters.
They ignore the dull ache until the bone snaps completely.
Exactly. So, what if we treated our relationships the way we are supposed to treat our physical health? What if we got regular, intentional, deep dive checkups before a crisis forces us into the relational ER?
Oh, I like where this is going.
What would an annual relationship physical look like in your own life? How could you build in structured honesty, asking the truly uncomfortable questions once a year, so that you never actually reach the point of needing an intensive in the first place?
That is a brilliant way to look at it. Instituting an annual relationship physical, doing the uncomfortable preventative stretches now so you don't end up needing the grueling physical therapy later. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. If these insights sparked an aha moment for you, or if you know someone who might be confusing their need for transformation with a need for a vacation, please share this with them. Take care of yourselves, take care of your connections, and we'll see you next time.